All right, we've got this Porsche Cayenne here. This is the 958.1. This specific model has the factory bi-xenon headlights, the PDLS. They're the adaptive headlights, meaning they turn with the steering wheel. The bi-xenon, meaning low and high beam out of that main projector, and they have the 4-dot DRL system around that shroud, which we'll show you in a little bit once everything's lit up. They do have the cornering light on the side there. It's kind of integrated in between the low and what appears to be the high beam. Now these were, for the time, these were probably the best type of lights available. They have what's called this rolling shield. It allows more light to come out. Again, for its time, it was really quite amazing. But we do offer upgrades to this particular headlight assembly. And we're also going to be going over these new matrix style aftermarket LED assemblies, which will give you a facelift and a boost in performance. Now, a lot of these lenses are pretty pitted right now after all the years of use. And this one has a lot of haze built up in the assembly. So the only way to clean that would be to take them apart. And at that point, you're performing a pretty serious surgery. So it's not that it's recommended. You can resurface the exterior of the lenses, but this particular model is in pretty good shape. It's got about 100,000 miles on the odometer, but the lenses are showing pretty normal wear and tear. So these aftermarket assemblies will give you a fresh look, but also crystal clear lenses, which you can have wrapped in paint protection film to prevent further wear and tear. But we'll go over the differences. We'll turn these on in just a moment and go over all the functions and features of the stock assemblies along with the aftermarket assemblies. So here's the factory daytime running light. There is a lot of that haze built up in the inside, like we just mentioned. So it is distorting it a little bit, but you do have that 4-dot LED look right around the shroud. So that is during the daytime when no other lights are on. You will see that when you're coming down the road. All right, here we've got the low beams on. That means the parking lights are on, those running lights in the bumper are on. And we actually changed out these bulbs to the Osram CBB. So these are brand new, fresh bulbs, not too long ago. They're going to be performing optimally. And this is what it looks like when the assemblies are on for nighttime use. You can see there are no other light functions on once the low beam is on in the assembly. And next we'll take a measurement for the intensity with a lux meter. This way we can compare it before and after with the new assemblies. All right, these are the factory low beams again with the Osram CBB bulbs. I'll change the exposure a little bit so we can analyze the beam pattern. Hotspot right where you want it, right underneath that cutoff. And again, this is pretty standard beam distribution for this model year. This projector, it's not looking like any of the projectors are burned up. The output looks pretty consistent and exactly what you'd expect to see on a 100,000 mile vehicle. And we'll put it on in high beam now. So you can see it's got a good hotspot. That inner projector, the inner reflector, sorry, it does turn on for high beam mode. So that's an additional high beam, which is solid because you have the factory bi-xenon plus that inner halogen high beam, which gives you even better distance visibility for high beam use. All right, this is our lux reading. We're exactly at 25 feet from the wall. And it looks like it's hitting about 470, 480. And that's right beneath the cutoff, right where you want it. And we'll do high beam mode now. And let's see. So again, high beam, you have a combination of the halogen and the bi-xenon. And right at the hotspot, we're looking at about, let's say 830, 840. Also going to demonstrate that cornering light feature. Anytime the steering wheel is turned, you do have that additional cornering light. Again, it's wedged between the low and the high beam reflector. And it turns on just to give you visibility from the side. And as you're cornering into a turn, it'll turn on just to help just a little bit. All right, we've pulled out the driver's side headlight assembly. It's obviously the stock one on the left. We've got the new one on the right. And the aftermarket assembly is essentially a replica of the Matrix, the original Matrix light for the newest generation Cayenne. This will not be a true Matrix assembly in the sense of, how the low beams and high beams function, because that's all computer controlled and it's pretty advanced stuff. However, you are getting essentially direct replica of the look. And we'll compare the functions in just a moment. Just wanted to show you how these look in person. They look absolutely amazing. Full blacked out internals. They've got integrated daytime running lights and even the cornering light. So they did a really good job at replicating that original look. And in a moment, we'll show you how it all works. All right, we popped in the new assemblies. They went in relatively smoothly. You just have to make sure the lights are in the fully locked position. And just a heads up, you want both of them installed, otherwise you will see some errors. But once lights are installed in a complete set, there are no errors. Despite these cars being extremely finicky with electronics, these are 100% plug and play without any errors. So I backed up a moment, just wanted to show you. The front end looks like a brand new Cayenne at this point. It looks amazing. And it doesn't look like too much. Some of these aftermarket assemblies, you kind of get a feeling that something doesn't quite look right, but to me, these look like they belong right at home, being that they're modeled after the original Matrix lights. They look awesome. All right, so here we've got the factory daytime running lights on. They look really good, extremely bright. There is no compromise when it comes to daytime running light brightness like there is on a lot of aftermarket assemblies. Give you a head-on look. So during the day, these will be on. And we'll show you the low beams and we'll do a lux comparison shortly. All right, so here we've got the daytime running lights on. Again, ignore the flickering. And we'll put on the low beams. And you can see that dims to a proper light intensity. That way you're not blinding oncoming traffic. So it still gives you that look. If you remember the original configuration, only the low beam is on in the top. So this gives you a really modern look to the front end with these new assemblies. All right, here we've got the low beams on. We did verify the lights do level, so they'll still level with the suspension. It's just a little bit loud to turn everything on with the engine running. But the beam looks really solid. It looks really defined and looks super bright. So we'll get out the lux meter in just a moment and get you guys a comparison. But overall, this is looking really good. Let's see the high beam. So it's got the bi-LED high beams and low beam. And the hotspot's right underneath the cutoff. It's not too low. It looks pretty solid. The beams are well defined. They're a lot sharper and crisper than the factory beams, projectors. And this is what it looks like with the warehouse lighting off. Camera's picking it up a little bit funny, but it looks really good. I know I keep saying that, but it does look really, really solid. And let me get you a lux comparison and we'll finish this comparison off and you guys can let us know your thoughts. So here's our lux reading. If you recall before, we had about, I think, high 4s in terms of the lux, and now we have mid 800s. So not quite double, but really great boost in terms of intensity, and that's right underneath the cutoff, right where you want it. And let's see a high beam mode. And the high beam, I believe it was in the high 800 range. So we got a little bit of an intensity boost, but the high beam's nothing too crazy. If you recall, the original high beam setup was a halogen high beam, so it technically had dual high beams. This one just has a single high beam. It's still really good, and it is nice to see an intensity boost. But this will wrap up the review. Leave a comment below. We'll leave a product link in the description so you can purchase these assemblies from us. And if you have any questions, reach out to us directly. We'll be happy to assist. But thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. And we'd love to see you around.